Hey everyone, Tio here. Today I'm reviewing the Wacom MovinkPad 11 with the Wacom Pro Pen 3 and the original flip case that's made for the tablet. First of all, disclaimer, this is a review unit on loan from Wacom Singapore, and in this video I'll just provide you with my findings so that you can decide whether this is worth the money. And the price of this tablet is $449 US. If you're watching my review in Singapore, you can find this tablet on Shopee SG and Lazada SG for 619 Singapore dollars. This tablet is also available on Amazon. By the way, if you guys have intention to buy this tablet after watching the review, consider making your purchase through the affiliate links that I have in the video description below to support my YouTube channel. I get to earn some commission for each sale, but at no extra cost to you. This flip case is sold separately for $49 US or 60 Singapore dollars. As usual, let me give you the bottom line up front. This pen has good support for pressure, tilt, and palm rejection, and because the pen performance is fantastic, the drawing experience is fantastic. This is a well-made tablet. It's a beautiful tablet with an 11.5-inch LCD with adaptive 90 Hz refresh rate, and the matte glass just looks and feels good to draw on. And as you can see, the anti-glare is quite effective, as in you can still see what's on the display through the diffuse reflections, and the viewing angle is terrific. There is minimal drop in brightness and minimal shift with the colors when viewing from extreme angles. So this is actually a good quality LCD. The visuals look sharp and pixelation is not noticeable. The resolution is 2200 by 1440 and the aspect ratio is 3:2, which I really like because it makes the tablet very usable in both landscape and portrait orientation. The build quality of the tablet is very solid. The body is made with metal and the sides are completely flat. On the back, this is matte textured and there is no camera bump. There are 4 rubber bumpers or feet, so this is a tablet that you can place completely flat on the table without any movement. Wacom markets this as a portable digital sketchpad, and the weight of 588 grams does make this tablet quite portable. Downsides: this tablet has 4 sets of speaker grills, but there are only 2 speakers and the audio sounds hollow. The USB-C port only has USB 2 transfer speed. The tablet uses the Helio G99 processor, which is not a very powerful processor, but for drawing purposes, it's powerful enough, and the overall performance of this tablet is actually quite smooth. There is 8 gigs of RAM, which is good, but internal storage is only 128 gigabytes, and there is no microSD card slot for storage expansion. Another downside is I'm not sure if Wacom will be providing any updates to Android OS in the future. Auto brightness works well. There is no face unlock and no fingerprint unlock, which is quite inconvenient. By the way, these are some quick sketches that I have drawn with the app concepts, and I did not experience any issues while drawing this, as well as with other drawing apps that I have tested with this tablet. So the bottom line is, if you're looking for a tablet with wonderful drawing experience, this is one that I can recommend quite easily. The pen performance here would go into the top 3 together with the iPads, with the Apple Pencil, and the Samsung Galaxy tablets with the S Pens, which by the way also use Wacom EMR pen tech. Alright, so let's move on to the full review. Let's take a look at the items included with the purchase. This is how the packaging box looks. There is a pencil sketch of the tablet and the pen. And it's a very simple design. And this is the box for the case. So in the box, you'll find a tablet, safety info, quick start guide, this USB-C to USB-C charging cable, and the Wacom Pro Pen 3. There is no charger included. Let's take a closer look at the Wacom Pro Pen 3, and the build quality is quite good, and this pen is actually lighter than I expected. This pen is almost as light as this wooden pencil that I have here, and you can see the diameter of the Wacom pen is almost similar to this wooden pencil. Now this grip section here is made with plastic and the back is metal. You can turn the back to open this up, and inside you can find this storage space for 3 replacement pen tips which are included. One thing that's not obvious unless you read the instruction manual is the nib remover is actually hidden here. If you need replacement pen tips, you can buy more from Wacom, and these are the plastic ones, and there are felt tip options available as well. Now, one downside to this design is I noticed that when I hold a pen, there is a tendency for my finger to unscrew this part. So to prevent that from happening, you have to screw this on really tight. This pen comes with 3 side buttons, and whether they are customizable will depend on the app you use. The grip section is matte textured, and this is quite comfortable to hold. This pen supports slightly over 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, and there is tilt sensitivity and palm rejection. So pressure, tilt, and palm rejection work quite well. Notice the pen tip protrudes out by quite a distance, and there is this tapered front design. So this design actually allows you to tilt the pen low easily to get the tilt effect easily. The hovering distance with this pen is quite high. The pen tip is about 1 centimeter away from the display right now, and the cursor appears. See? This is actually quite far from the display. So this is considered good because when your pen tip is near the display, palm rejection will be perfect. So I'm holding the pen vertically right now. I want to show you whether the cursor will stray away from the pen tip as I tilt the pen. So the pen is now at 45 degrees. And now it's much lower. So let's go back to vertical and 45 degrees and much lower. So the cursor doesn't stray away from the pen tip, even at very low angles. This pen uses a newer version of Wacom EMR, which I guess is the reason why it can support 3 shortcut buttons. And because this uses Wacom EMR, there is no internal battery, so no charging is required, and you do not need to pair this pen to the tablet to use the pen for writing and for drawing. Now, since this pen uses Wacom EMR, if you find the design of this pen to be too thin, you can actually use other Wacom EMR pens. These pens actually use an older version of Wacom EMR, but the tablet is backwards compatible with these pens. So to use those third-party pens, you have to go into the settings to enable this, enable use of pens not included with the device, which by the way is enabled by default. And now let's take a look at this optional flip case from Wacom. The cover is made with this cloth-like material, which feels nice, but this is going to collect dust very easily. This cover only has 1 fold here, and the back is made with silicone, so this is quite flexible. So let me just put the tablet in first. So this case will provide protection, like full protection for the tablet on all the sides, including the front and back. Notice the cutout here for the pen holder, so this allows you to pull out the pen easily. The inner cover also has this cloth-like surface, and this fabric is smoother compared to the exterior. So this surface is also going to get dirty quite easily because when you fold the cover to the back and you slot this here and you prop up the tablet like this for drawing, this surface will be cleaning your table. The power and volume buttons are covered. So this is a well-made case. It's not too heavy and it doesn't make the tablet much thicker. The only downsides here are the surface finishing can get dirty quite easily, and there is no way for you to fold the cover at the back to create a little triangle to prop up the tablet more vertically. And now let's take a closer look at the design of this tablet. So when you power on the tablet for the first time, it looks like this. There is no wallpaper. And these are the very few apps on the home screen. So besides the Google apps, which includes Google Play Store, there are Clip Studio, Wacom Canvas, Wacom Shelf, and Wacom Tips, and I'll talk more about these apps later. So there is no bloatware installed, and I have to say that it's a pretty bold choice to go without a wallpaper, and it looks pretty cool. It makes it feel like this tablet is a blank canvas ready for you to draw. Because the background now is white and is supposed to be even, I can actually see some shadowing effect here from the LCD. So the LCD lighting is not completely even, so it's just a minor thing that I thought I should point out. The design of this tablet looks, well, just like most tablets nowadays, with rounded corners for the body and for the LCD. There's a 5 megapixel landscape camera here and the auto brightness sensor on the left. This is good placement for the auto brightness sensor because when you hold the tablet in portrait orientation and you're drawing or writing, the sensor is up here, so your hand will not cover the sensor. There are some tablets with the auto brightness sensor here, so when your hand is here, it's going to cover the sensor. So this is a thoughtful design. You can tell that this tablet is designed for use in landscape orientation because of the landscape camera, and the power button is here and the volume buttons are actually here. So the weight of this tablet is 588 grams, which is considered lightweight enough for an 11.5 inch tablet. And this is quite portable. So if I have to hold this in hand to draw, I will hold it like this or like this. In landscape orientation, I try not to hold it like this because the weight will still go to the other side, so it's quite tiring. With this review unit that I have, the metal frame here is actually higher than the glass, and it's just this area here where the metal frame is higher. So when I run my finger here, I can actually feel the frame, but not when I have my finger here on the other sides. And now let's take a closer look at the display, which is an 11.5 inch LCD. So this is how big the display is compared to an A5 size sketchbook, and it is noticeably bigger than an A5 size sketchbook. Let's compare this with A4. So it's noticeably smaller than A4, so it's somewhere in between A5 and A4. There is this slight softness to the visuals if you look really close, but from normal working distance away, the visuals look sharp enough to me. Resolution of this display is 2200 by 1440, so the aspect ratio is about 3:2, which is a good aspect ratio for productivity because it makes the tablet very usable in both landscape and portrait orientation. So in landscape orientation, with this size, you can have one palette by the side here. If you open another palette, then the amount of canvas space left for drawing will be reduced. If you just have one palette, there is a lot of space for drawing. And in portrait orientation, due to the aspect ratio, this is not too narrow, so this is still good for use in portrait orientation. Refresh rate of this display is up to 90 Hz and it's adaptive, so you can get either 60 Hz or 90 Hz depending on the apps that you use. So with 90 Hz refresh rate, animations such as scrolling, pan, zoom, and rotate will be smooth, and this 90 Hz refresh rate does make the tablet feel more responsive. Here's how the matte glass display looks compared to glossy display, and the anti-glare is very effective Right now the display is running at less than 50% brightness, so let me just increase the brightness up to 100%. So the maximum brightness is advertised to be 400 nits, and at maximum brightness with the diffuse reflection, you can still see what's on the display very easily. Both tablets are running at maximum brightness right now, and you can clearly see the LCD on the Wacom MovinkPad 11 is better thanks to the matte glass surface. And the viewing angles is really good. So even at this extreme viewing angle, you can see there isn't much color shift. This display is said to have 99% sRGB color coverage, and I would say the color quality is quite good. So this is a bright, vibrant, and sharp display. This LCD does look really good. And now let's talk about the OS and software. So this tablet is running on Android 14, and I'm not sure if the tablet will be getting any future Android OS updates. The UI is Wacom UI version 1.3.2, and from the home screen there is actually no settings button, but you can actually swipe up to get to the app drawer and look for the settings app here, and just drag it onto the home screen, or swipe down from the top and tap here to go into settings. This is how the control panel looks. You can adjust the brightness here, but not the volume. And there's a shortcut for Clip Studio. If you are playing music, the music player will appear here. The OS is pretty much stock Android, and there aren't many features. So if you need more features, you can always find an app from Google Play Store to get the feature that you want. So let's take a look at the pen section. There is only this setting here that allows the tablet to be backwards compatible with older Wacom One pens. Under storage is where you can see how much storage space you are using, and Android OS on this tablet actually uses only 3 GB out of the usable 117 GB. So for people who draw a lot, 117 GB of storage may not be sufficient, but generally speaking, it's alright. At least it's much higher than 64 GB. So if you need more storage, you will have to use cloud storage because there is no micro SD card slot on this tablet. And under display, I just want to say that there is lift to wake, where you can lift the tablet up to wake up the display. But for some reason, the sensor is too sensitive. So if you enable this and you have the tablet stationary, not moving, the display sometimes can wake on its own, so it will wake, sleep, so it doesn't work. So I have that disabled. And there is double tap to wake. There is a section for Wacom support, so if there are any issues with this tablet, you can actually submit a request or ticket directly from this page, which will actually link you to another page. And from what I can see, there's no way to create multiple user accounts. Let's talk about software, and there are only 2 drawing apps pre-installed, and they are Clip Studio and Wacom Canvas. Wacom Shelf is actually a file browser for images, and Wacom Tips is just an app to show you how to use this tablet. The purchase of this tablet will give you a 2-year license for Clip Studio Paint Debut, which is slightly different compared to Clip Studio Paint. And I actually do not know what's the difference, but there is a difference. Anyway, for people who use Clip Studio Paint Debut, Wacom says that you can upgrade to the full Clip Studio Paint at a special price. So for me, I will just launch the app in doodle mode first. So this is pretty much desktop Clip Studio, except this app is subscription based on a tablet, on Android tablets, and also on iPads. And the UI is the same as the desktop UI. So this is a very fully functional drawing app, and it runs well on this tablet. Let's take a look at Wacom Canvas, which is a very basic drawing app. This app is so simple that you're going to wonder why this app is even included. So if you tap here thinking that you're going to get some settings, well, these are the only options you have here. If you tap here on the plus, it will create a new canvas. This is the share button. There are only 5 drawing tools. There is this black pencil, a blue pencil, this ink brush, a hard eraser, a textured eraser. And when you tap on the drawing tools, there are no options. So there is no way to change the color or the brush size for the pencil or the ink brush. And if you move down, you can see the zoom controls and the undo controls. And the last button here will let you switch the toolbar from left to right. So I'm just going to open up an artwork or a sketch that I have already drawn. So this is Wacom Shelf, which is a file browser for images. And you know what? When you create a sketch or artwork using Wacom Canvas, that artwork will be saved into the Pictures folder, into the Wacom Canvas folder. When you choose a folder to monitor for visuals, and you choose the Pictures folder, and there are other images in the Pictures folder, such as wallpapers, all those images will get mixed up with your artwork. So Wacom definitely should give you the option to choose a specific folder to monitor. Okay, so let me just open up a sketch that I have already drawn using Wacom Canvas. So this app is really basic. It just lets you, well, look at your sketches. So let me just tap here to open or edit in Wacom Canvas or edit in Clip Studio Paint. So let me just edit in Wacom Canvas. Oh, I also have some notes here. So there is no fill bucket. There is no gesture zoom, so you cannot use your finger to zoom. You have to use the buttons here to zoom. And you can only zoom like 3 steps up. So I'm not sure why they don't even give you that zoom option. I mean, they did give you that zoom option, but it's in the form of buttons. I don't understand why. So you cannot adjust brush size, you cannot adjust the eraser size, you cannot change the color of the tools. There is no transform tool, so if you want to move this image like somewhere else on the canvas, you cannot do so. There is no rotation. There are no layers. Well, there is at least undo. Now, one other downside that I noticed for this app is there is no anti-aliasing setting. So let me just zoom in to show you the details. You see, I want to zoom in further, but I cannot use my fingers to zoom in. So to show you a close-up of the file, I have to use another browser. So let me just zoom in. Can you see the jagged lines for this curve or this line? So this is the result of not having anti-aliasing. So while drawing with the Wacom Canvas app, because you cannot zoom in that close, you may not see the aliasing effect or the jagged steps effect. But when you export the file and you open the artwork with another app, or if you share your artwork online on social media, you may see that aliasing effect or the jagged steps effect, and it does not look good at all. Now that may not be a problem if Wacom can actually let you create a huge canvas, a high resolution canvas, and upon export you can downsize it. But with this app, the default resolution of the artwork is 2094 by 1334, which is not considered high-res enough to, compress or downsize. I mean, you can downsize it to 1000 pixels wide, and that may reduce the aliasing effect, but you get a smaller image. So the bottom line here for Wacom Canvas is it's good for quick sketches, but I will not use it mostly because of that aliasing effect. Here's another sketch that I drew. So without the zoom in and out, I find it a bit difficult to draw digitally, but I guess after a while you will get used to the workflow because without the zoom, it actually makes it feel like you are drawing on actual paper, because on paper, like actual physical paper, you cannot zoom as well. So when drawing, you have to make sure your composition is perfect, your size is perfect. Otherwise, you cannot move the drawing around. There's no transform tool, and you cannot crop the image because there is no crop tool. Okay, let me just show you, you know what, I tried to zoom again. Let me just show you the ink brush here. So let me just draw one. Oh, you know what, as I drew that line, I can already see the aliasing effect. Wow. I just don't like it. So the pressure support is good. And latency is not really noticeable unless you are looking for it. So this is pretty good for sketching, and you can sketch really fast. So with that sketch earlier, I actually opened this and choose to edit. So after I edit and close the file, it saved a copy. It did not save over the previous version. So once you're done with the sketch, try not to open it again, because when you open it to do some edits, it's going to save another version and you have to go back and delete the first version. Okay, let's take a look at this pencil sketch. Let's open in Wacom Canvas. So for this pencil sketch, notice there is a lot of white space here. That's because of poor planning. So if I'm drawing this on actual paper, I will need to have the sketch down, centered. But I drew this further up, and without the transform tool, I cannot move it down. So that's just the way it is with this app. Now, the pencil tool actually works really nice. Let me just switch to the blue pencil. Because with the texture brush, the jagged line effect, the aliasing effect is not that obvious. So you can actually draw diagonal lines and you will not see that stepping effect. So once you're done with the sketch, you can tap here to plus to create a new canvas, or if you just close this app and go back to Wacom shelf, yeah, you can see that new version is saved here as a PNG file. And there is no way for you to choose the file format to save in. It's PNG. Let's say you want to delete the original artwork because you have already done some edits and the new versions are here. Well, if you tap here, you will realize that there is no option to delete the file. So to delete the sketch, the old sketch that you do not want, you have to go into another file browser and look for where that old sketch is. It's in the Pictures, Wacom Canvas folder, and just select that to delete. So these two apps are just too basic. And if Wacom can have anti-aliasing for Wacom Canvas, I actually don't mind using this for quick sketches. Let's talk very quickly about overall performance of this tablet. So this tablet comes with the Helio G99 processor, which is not a very powerful processor, but for drawing purposes, it is able to handle all the drawing apps that I've tested without any lag or issues. There is 8 gigs of RAM, so you can have many apps in the background, in memory. But for some of the older apps, notice as I tap on the app, it needs to redraw or reload the app. But it's quite fast, so it's not really an issue. Scrolling, pen zoom, and rotate, all that is, let me just show you. All that is quite fast and fluid. I did not install any games on this tablet. Anyway, this tablet can be used for some light gaming. Just don't expect to play games at the highest graphics settings. Time for the line test, and the app that I'm using is MediBang Paint. By the way, the handwriting and note-taking experience of this tablet is quite good. And I will have a separate video talking about the note-taking experience with the Wacom MovinkPad 11, which I will publish in a few days' time. So let's take a look at the initial activation force. This is how thick the brush is, and now I'm going to draw with minimal pressure. I'm going to glance the pen tip very lightly with minimal pressure on the surface. I am not applying much pressure, and I can get thin lines quite easily. And now I will draw some straight lines with the help of a straight edge. And this is as straight as it can be. Let's look at tapered strokes. So lines are able to taper smoothly and sharply, and you can see the line sometimes would start thin, becomes thicker, and then taper. So this looks quite natural. Line transition from thin to thick, and back to thin, to thick, thin, thick, thin. This is actually the true pressure sensitivity test, but from what I can see, it's kind of difficult to draw thin lines after drawing the thick lines. And there is no way to tweak the pressure curve with this app, so if I want to draw thin lines with this app, I will have to reduce the brush size manually. I cannot just rely on the pressure that I apply with the pen. Let me switch over to the Wacom One standard pen, the one with two side buttons. So I'm going to draw thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick. And this is the Wacom Pro Pen 3. Again, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick. So for some reason, this pen actually has better pressure support than the Wacom Pro Pen 3. So with this pen, I can draw much thinner lines after drawing the thick lines. But this pen has a tendency to draw thicker lines. But this is not really an issue if you are using a drawing app that lets you tweak the pressure curve. It may be possible to get different pressure performance if you swap out the pen tip, but I do not have the Wacom felt tip to test though. Let's see if I can maintain consistent line width by maintaining consistent pressure, and I can do so quite easily. Let's draw some dots. No problem. This is the cursor misalignment test where I will draw separate lines and try to join the lines together by looking at where the pen tip is instead of where the cursor is. So if there are any issues with cursor misalignment, there will be gaps, there will be lines overshooting, and from what I can see, I can join the lines properly without the lines overshooting like this and without gaps. Let's look at tilt sensitivity. So I'm drawing with minimal pressure now and with thicker pressure. So notice I can get very thin and very thick lines easily because this app actually has the ability to adjust the pressure curve, which I have adjusted to let me draw thin and thick lines easily. So the variation with the thin and thick lines is quite clear. Now, this brush that I'm using has tilt support, so I can draw thin, thick, and if I tilt the brush down like this, I can get the broad strokes or the textured strokes. This app is Sketchbook. We have thin, thick, broad, thin, broad, thin, broad. So tilt works well here. This app is Concepts, which also supports tilt, and tilt does not work as well compared to the other apps. So you can see the transition is quite abrupt, but at least tilt still works. Let's look at the latency performance with this app, Medibank Paint. So as I draw this long sweeping line, you can see the line trying to catch up with the pen tip. So there is latency. And this app is Concepts. Latency performance here is so much better. The gap as the line is chasing the pen tip is much smaller. So latency performance will vary depending on which app you use. And this is Clip Studio Paint. And I can see latency as well. Quite similar to Medibank Paint. But latency is not really an issue while drawing. And now let's talk about the drawing experience while I sketch something really quickly with this app, Concepts. So drawing experience depends a lot on the pen performance, pressure sensitivity, tilt sensitivity, and palm rejection. And I am very happy to tell you that palm rejection works really well with this tablet. I have tested many Android tablets, and many Android tablets do not have good palm rejection. So I am actually quite surprised that palm rejection works quite well with this tablet. So because palm rejection works really well, you can expect fantastic drawing experience with this tablet. Now notice as I try to join this line, I can join it very smoothly. And as I lift up my pen, notice the tapered stroke here. So this pen is really sensitive. It's very accurate, very predictable. The performance is very consistent. So that is pretty much what you need with a pen for professional drawing. Consistent, predictable performance. Let me just erase this, or maybe I can select this. Yeah, I can actually select this line and delete it. The app that I'm using is, what's this? Concepts. And this is actually my main drawing app. See how the lines taper here? They taper very nicely. There is this smooth and sharp taper, which looks very natural. And if I want to join the lines, I can join the lines very easily. Now with this app, sometimes there will be the occasional flicker, but that's due to the app, not the hardware, not the tablet. And drawing on the matte glass surface feels good. There is this tactile drawing experience. The surface is actually quite smooth. It's actually smoother compared to matte screen protectors. The pen glides on it quite nicely. I'm not sure if you can hear the sound, but there is actually some sound as the pen tip is gliding on the display. Let's zoom in. So the zoom in and out rotation, pen zoom and rotate, all those work really well. And I'm really surprised that palm rejection works really well because as mentioned earlier, I've tested many Android tablets with less than ideal palm rejection. I don't use the side buttons that much. For this app, I can only customize one side button, which I have set to select. Whether you can customize the side buttons will depend on the apps you use. And for this app Concepts, I can use double tap undo, 3-finger redo, and 4-finger to hide the user interface. This is one of the rare Android tablets that support 4-finger gestures. And this is also one of the rare Android apps that support 4-finger gestures. So there are some diagonal lines here, and the diagonal lines are very smooth without any noticeable diagonal line wobble and jitter. See, thick to thin. It's very natural. So you can get very expressive lines with this pen very easily. Okay, let's color this. So I'm using the shape tool. You know what? Let me just color it like this. This app does not have the fill bucket tool, which is a downside, but it's not too bad. As in, after you get used to using the shape tool, you can actually work quite quickly. 400 nits of brightness is, 400 nits of brightness is considered bright enough for use in a bright room environment, but not under direct sunlight. If you want to use your tablet under direct sunlight, you will have to get a tablet that is at least 1000 nits. So there aren't many tablets out there in the market that can give you 1000 nits of brightness. I only know of 2 tablets that can do so. One is the M4 iPad Pro with 1000 nits of brightness with the OLED display, and the other is the one of the Huawei MatePad Pro tablets. I'm not sure how many layers you can create with some of the other apps, but with 8 gigs of RAM for this tablet, you can actually create many layers. It's just that I'm not sure whether the tablet will lag when you create like too many layers. Because for my artworks, as you can see, I actually do not use that much detail. My artworks are mostly sketches. I don't use that many layers, so I can't actually tell you how this tablet will perform with many layers at high resolution. I think the best thing about this tablet is the performance is very predictable and consistent. You just know what you will get when you place your pen on the canvas. There are some tablets that you will know straight away how good they are just by drawing a few lines. Just by drawing 2-3 lines, you will know straight away whether the tablet is good. And this is one of those tablets. Wacom actually advertises this tablet as a portable digital sketch pad. And I would say that it works really well as a portable digital sketch pad. It's not too heavy. If you are drawing outdoors, you can find a table and you can just place the tablet like this on the table. You can hold it in one hand, or you can have the tablet completely flat on the table and draw. The user experience is really good. Mostly because the tablet is lightweight enough and there is no camera bump behind, which helps a lot. Okay, I guess this sketch is almost complete. I think this looks good enough. Okay, let me show you another sketch drawn with another app, MiniBand Paint. Okay, this file was saved to the cloud. Because this tablet only has 128 gigabytes of internal storage, you may want to utilize cloud storage when you're saving your artworks. So here I have saved the file to cloud storage. So this artwork actually is not taking up any internal storage. Now this 11.5-inch display is big, so I can draw this with the palette here, or I can hide it to get more drawing space. Let me just show you the line art. This is just very simple line art with color in the background, just like how I drew the people in concepts. I can get the thin lines and the thick lines easily. I am able to join the lines without the lines overshooting. So yeah, so while drawing, latency is not really an issue. Let's have black. So I can press down hard to fill in the big areas easily. And draw with minimal pressure to get the thin lines easily. Press down to get the thicker lines. And don't use much pressure to get the thinner lines. Yep. So works fine. The battery life of this tablet is around 8 to 10 hours or 11 hours with auto brightness, and I'll consider that to be quite good. Alright, to conclude, This tablet has fantastic pen performance, and because of that, you can expect wonderful drawing experience with this tablet. There are, of course, some downsides, such as maybe the processor could be better, more powerful, speakers could sound better, there is no face unlock, and no fingerprint unlock. The main thing with this tablet is you can expect wonderful drawing experience. And I would say the drawing performance here is on par with the Apple Pencil and the Samsung tablets with S Pen support. One feature that this tablet has over the Apple and Samsung tablets with regards to drawing experience is this matte glass surface feels really nice to draw on, and the anti-glare works really well. With the Apple iPad Pro, you can get the matte glass surface as well, but you have to spend a lot of money to upgrade the storage before you can have the option to buy the matte glass surface. But with this Wacom MovinkPad 11, this is included, and this is a good quality LCD, as you can see. Alright, so I believe I have covered almost everything I wanted to say about this tablet. If you guys have other questions regarding this, the Wacom MovinkPad 11, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye.